Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to episode 53 of SketchaLona. I'm Jan, I'm your friendly host all the way from Barcelona. And I think this has got to be one of the laziest weekends I've had in a long time. Catching up with movies, catching up with my flatmate, and generally doing very little drawing. Luckily for you guys, I got plenty done during the week, so I'll be showing you what's been happening in my sketchbook right about now. What else has been happening? Well, autumn has arrived, as you can see, and temperatures are plummeting. Nothing too bad as of yet, but you're not here to hear about the weather. But what about that Justice League movie I got to see just the other day? So I was very excited for the Justice League movie. In fact, I even watched the Batman Superman No Justice fan edit that I discovered and did a little review of on some time ago. I watched that again on a Monday, and then on Tuesday with co-workers and everyone we got to man, the way they approach traffic lights here, you just instantly assume it's not green for you. But yeah, so Tuesday we got to check out this film, and I really enjoyed it. You know, I thought it was like one of the animated movies on the big screen. Very straightforward, a lot of fun, very funny, and you know, that's what it was. And I'm quite taken aback, well, even though in this day and age, 2017, should we be really, just how much hate this film is getting. You know, to the point that I'm like, you know, I'm just not gonna bother reading up like this anymore, because people are panning this film so hard, and quite frankly, it's just an enjoyable little romp, you know. So yeah, that's my 1 minute review, if you will. If you enjoy superheroes, if you enjoy superhero comics, then this movie is definitely for you, you know. If you are waiting for the meaning of life, then I'm pretty sure you can wait another 3 weeks before the new Star Wars movie comes out. So speaking of Star Wars and The Last Jedi, for which I'm very excited. So it turns out the youngest one of us at the house, yeah, he never actually saw Star Wars. So of course he was lamenting the other day how all of his friends have been like trying to get him to watch the film finally. And he's just managed to not watch it since the, let me just get my card. Since whenever it was he was born, mid-90s. And this is to his shame, so to speak. And so I told him, like, well, you know, a similar thing happened with me in The Godfather, where it's considered one of the greatest movies of all time, and it took me, 30 years to finally see that film. So, you know, no harm done. But while you're sitting down here, let me just casually put on Rogue One. And so, of course, the whole debate ensued about, but is this the correct order? And, like, aren't I supposed to start, like, he just wanted to start with episode 1. And I was like, no, don't worry about that one. So just watch this one, see if you like this one, and then watch the next one. So that's what he did. And oh, the questions he had. But if the Emperor is dead, who's going to be the enemy in the next movie? Well, I told him if he'd hurry up, then he could join us in the cinema and find out in 3 weeks. Oh yes. Anyway, I was quite impressed with his tenacity in watching the entire trilogy plus one in just about a day and a half. Actually, it's pretty hardcore. But in the meantime, myself, I've been a little carried away with some old video games, and I actually at some point had this realization, like, I wonder if it's actually wanting to play these really old games, or if it's just the music that I'm eager to listen to. So I was watching these playthroughs and then got a little carried away, thinking up, like, if I could make this game myself, then, but I can't. But I looked into some game engines, but they're all on PC. So maybe it is time to get that pressurized there and fix up the Mac, and maybe get a little bootcamp division on my Mac so I can have one of these game engines and just mess around with it a little bit, or maybe not. Maybe that would be too distracting from what I'm trying to do here. So what am I trying to do right here? I'm actually drawing some of the characters from the Punisher series. Been making my way through the series. It's over on Netflix if you haven't seen it. Pretty brutal, of course. It's a continuation of the character from the Daredevil season 2, and it's not quite what I expected. I think I kind of expected something along the lines of Daredevil season 2, you know, like it's a continuation. He's going to kick the bad guys' asses, and they're going to go after him, and he's going to fall in love, and then they're going to go after the girl that he's going to be involved with, and it's going to be, you know, that's kind of what I expected. And it's actually it's almost more of a day in the life of the Punisher when he's not doing any of the stuff that you'd expect him to do. And getting to meet his partner in vigilanteism, Micro, from the comics. And it's actually really good. Like, I'm pleasantly surprised at how this humanizing approach to, you know, because the Punisher, like, for the longest time was one of the bad guys in comics, so he's really the anti-hero from comics besides Wolverine, I guess. But much more so on the bad side of things than the right side of things. Yeah, it's like the relations, the drama of soldiers coming back from war, and like the way they depict it, and like it's all pretty heart-wrenching actually, and it's just handled really well. I don't think I've ever seen a depictions like they have in this show, and from so many people, like not just the main hero himself, but some of his fellow soldiers, but also the people they leave behind, you know, the family, the children of people who get wrapped up in conspiracies and all sorts of craziness. And it's not the all-out violent, you know, I don't know how to it's not like what I kind of expected, like Daredevil, where it's this one-man mission against a crime syndicate. You know, like it's just not like that at all, and I'm pleasantly surprised. So if you haven't watched it, go watch it. In the meantime, so this is the lady, Dina, and Blatty, please stop attacking me. Stop attacking me. No. And her partner, and so I haven't. So I want to talk a little bit about this portrait. So one of the things that I was having fun with on this page and the next is using the really thick pencil I have, and then taking my new 0.3 mechanical pencil to add the detail. So what I've already found is that the 0.3, I mean, it really is a pencil for detail, And you know, getting up to, like, if you look at the hair and like the state of the hair right now, just getting to this point where it looked like, you know, what I wanted, took a considerable amount of time, just because, you know, the pencil is just so damn thin. The pencil kept breaking on me, which was another thing. So it really is for detail work that you should pull this one out. But, you know, you make do with the tools you have. And I couldn't find the other one in my bag. So I really had fun on this piece, and you'll see the next phase coming up right after. But it's the one, like, this is the one page where I felt like I was getting into the swing of things with, like, how should I put this? Like, you add the gray tones, and the gray tones, like with the thick pencil, are just the guideline for where the shade is. And so then I reinterpret that shading with thin line art. And then there's the constant battle of reining myself in and not wanting to add way too many lines, so it becomes too sketchy and too much of an illustration rather than a stylized comic book portrait. And that is still very hard. But what happened on this page, and what usually is not the case on, like, before, is that I'm starting to just erase more. And just, like, one of the things that is really tricky is just adding lines in a woman's faces as is, because it tends to, you know, we just have these perceptions of, even of the symbolic representation, which, you know, comic book art leans on heavily, being so stylized and all. And so it just ages a woman's face very quickly. When I'm just, you know, simply trying to draw what I'm seeing. So I have to kind of learn how to back off and just ease up on that. But yeah, so one way to do that, like in a workflow, is I find that if I just erase, and I don't mean like completely erase what I've just done, but like just erase it to the point that it looks really light, it's kind of like a heads up, like, this is too thick, too dark, and I still want this detail in the image. So if I just really lighten it up, it's kind of like a, hey, use the really, really thin Steadler here, like the 0.05. Like really fine detail and half of what you've just drawn, as in like all these little cross-hatching effects. Like, just back off on that when you get to this point. That's why it's half erased, so it looks like 50% opacity if it were in Photoshop. Like, that's something that's been happening on this page a lot. So I don't know if that's interesting to you guys. Let me know if when I talk you through like how my workflow is developing. Like, here we go, there's the eraser. If that is interesting to you or not. But it's because I do know that I tend to ramble when I talk about these things, because I'm just trying to find the words to, you know, how do I express these things. Like, I need to find the language, never mind in English, to explain myself better. So yeah. But yeah, this is the lady Dini Madani, and I looked up the actress. I don't remember her from anything else. But I think I might have to do another pass on this one, because the likeness was not quite there, even though I'm quite fond of the portrait as it came out, but the likeness was a little bit, you know, but it's a decent piece, so I'll leave it at that. What other life-changing events have happened this week? Well, there was that night, Thursday, so about 3 days after they gave me the go-ahead and told me, yes, you can have all the holidays you requested for the next 4 months. So I have to get permission for the holiday requests before the end of the year, so I don't lose the days I've built up. So I had to plan, and so this is something that working in an office is very different, and I'm not used to, because working in restaurants, you have to put in a request, but you just tend to be a lot more flexible. And so in an office, especially because the people who decide are, 2 countries away across the sea, there's a lot more planning goes into it. So that was a bit of a pain, waiting for 3 weeks. And so they finally said yes. And 2 days later, I came home and put my key in the lock, and I could not get into my apartment. The lock just kept on turning and turning and turning. And then my flatmate came home, and the same thing. And so I just realized, this is it. I'm gonna have to call someone for this one. We are not getting in here. This lock is done. So I did, and luckily the guy managed to show up in 20 minutes, and then it was another half an hour of him banging away at our door and just finally giving up and I'm gonna have to break open the lock. There's no way. So he did. We got back in. That cost me 120 euros. And he said he could order me a better lock, not the old piece of junk that was on my door this whole time. And to make a long story short, I'm going to be down about 300 euros for the guy to come over twice and to put in a new lock. So that hurts badly. That is painful. And with the holiday requests only just having been confirmed, and the first one is actually next weekend that I plan to go to London, and now being out of 300 euros, I'm still I still want to hope that something is going to happen, and all of a sudden money is going to flow down. But I think I might have to, because I haven't booked yet. So if I book now, I'll probably be able to get a flight for at least 120. So that's a bit steep. It's doable. But then of course I can stay with my friends, but also London is not the cheapest city, and there's going to be lots of moving around and catching up with people. And so I think I might have to do the right thing and just save my money. And then, because now I know exactly when I'm going to have time off every month, because I planned, I'm basically, instead of having one big trip, because I've been out of money for so long, and now that I do have a bit of money coming in every month, I plan to have a long weekend, 1 week a month. And so it looks like my first long weekend, next weekend, is going to be all for art, because, maybe I could do a little trip within Spain. I'll have to see what is, I could go to Tarragona, another city nearby for 2 days. But I've got 5 to 6 days, I think. So plenty of time for art, but I'm gonna have to keep the money in my pocket because of the new lock that's gonna have to go on the door. Why is my hair sticking up like that? Okay, so yeah, that's the life-altering event this week. Unprepared for. Oh God, she's attacking my toes again. Unprepared for, and luckily I have the money. But yeah, kind of sucky, The more upbeat news, and especially if you if you like your vloggy videos with a heavy dose of caffeine, I suggest you check out Gazbot's Kickstarter video that is up right about now. I'll be sure to post a link down below and in the corner. His kaiju comic book, The Horror A4, is coming out with a second issue. And I'm very excited because I love the first one. And I am looking forward to making my pledge next week. And I might just go for the one where I get a digital download as well as the physical copy. But more on that next week. In the meantime, here's a little glimpse at what's coming up. I'm going to wrap up this video right now, but for you guys, if you'd like to have a look at how I made this this little portrait of Frank Castle, aka the Punisher, stay tuned, because here it comes. So thank you for watching, and I'll be seeing you guys next week. Have a good one, and if you can't wait that long, remember, you can always find me over on Patreon for some behind-the-scenes videos, and on Instagram if you like the little super fast time lapses.
you.